What happened when someone tried to come between you and your best friend? Ren and I have been inseparable since 3rd grade. We're the kind of friends who finish each other's sentences and have a standing movie night every Friday no matter what. She started dating this guy, Colton, about 8 months ago, and at first he seemed fine. The first few months, Colton was charming. Then things shifted. At a group dinner with mutual friends, Colton put his arm around Ren and announced, "I'm trying to get her to branch out socially. She's a little codependent on certain people." He looked directly at me when he said it. Our friend Mia pulled me aside after dinner. She said, "What was that about? He was staring at you like you killed his dog." I said I had no idea. She said, "Something's off with him. Watch yourself." A few weeks later, I met Ren's mom for brunch. She seemed uncomfortable the whole meal. Finally, she said, "I need to ask you something. Colton came to see me. He told me you've been going through personal issues and leaning on Ren too much. He said it's affecting her mental health." I said, "That's not true. I'm not going through anything." She looked relieved. She said, "He called you a bad influence. He suggested Ren might need space from your friendship." It didn't sound right to me. I told her I hadn't even seen Ren much lately because she kept canceling plans. Her mom's face darkened. She said, "That's not what Colton told me at all." The next week, I ran into Ren's coworker at a coffee shop. She grabbed my arm and said, "Is Ren okay? Like actually okay?" I asked what she meant. She said, "Her boyfriend showed up at the office and lost his mind. He saw her eating lunch with Kevin from accounting and accused her of cheating in front of everyone. She was crying in the bathroom for an hour. I felt sick." She said, "He's really intense. Has she said anything to you?" I told her we hadn't talked much lately. She said, "That's weird. You two used to be attached at the hip." Then Ren's sister Paige texted me. She said, "Did you and Ren have a fight?" I said no and asked why. She said, "Colton told me Ren doesn't want to come to my baby shower because you're going to be there. He said you had some falling out and she can't stand being around you." I told her that wasn't true. She said, "I knew it. What is going on with this guy?" I started putting the pieces together. Colton was telling everyone a different story. He was isolating her from every person who loved her. I threw Ren a birthday party at her favorite restaurant. I figured if I could get her in a room with everyone who cared about her, she'd see she wasn't alone. Ren walked in and burst into tears. She hugged me and whispered, "I've missed you so much." Colton stood behind her with his jaw tight and his arms crossed. Halfway through dinner, I excused myself to use the bathroom. I was washing my hands when the door opened behind me. Colton was standing there. He closed the door and leaned against it. He said, "We need to talk." I said, "This is the women's bathroom." He didn't move. He said, "I'm going to say this once. Back off. She doesn't need you anymore." I said, "She's my best friend. 15 years. He stepped closer. He said, "I'm her future. You're her past. Accept it." I said, "Does Ren know you're cornering me right now?" His face twisted. He said, "Ren does what I tell her. She needs someone to guide her, and that someone is me." I said, "You've been lying to everyone. Her mom, her sister, her co-workers." He smiled and it made my skin crawl. He said, "I'm protecting her from people like you." He grabbed my arm hard enough to bruise. He said, "Find a new best friend. This is your only warning." A voice came from behind him. "Get your hand off her right now." Ren was standing in the doorway. Her face was pale. Colton dropped my arm. He said, "Babe, this isn't what it looks like. She was saying horrible things about you." Ren said, "I heard everything. I followed you when I saw you go after her." Colton stepped toward her. He said, "She's manipulating you. She's jealous of us." Ren said, "You just said I'd do what you tell me." You grabbed her arm. His mask slipped. He said, "Everything I've done has been for us." Ren said, "You told my mother she was a bad influence. You told my sister I didn't want to come to her baby shower. You humiliated me at my job." He said, "I did what I had to do." Ren said, "Get out." He laughed. He said, "You're throwing away 8 months over this?" Ren said, "Get out of my party. Get out of my life. We're done." He stared at her, waiting for her to crack. She didn't. He stormed out and slammed the door. Ren turned to me with tears streaming down her face. She said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't see it." I hugged her tight. I said, "You see it now. That's all that matters." We stayed at that restaurant until they kicked us out. It was the best birthday she ever had.